So thank you again for coming for our webinar live on this particular topic, AI risk management for software platforms. So as a subject, this has been like the highlight of our endeavors in the industry. Like we have been there, and almost all of our clients who have some inbound, like a in-house developed product, or they're using somebody else's product. And the point that comes up is, how does AI apply to? We have AI in a product. Does AI apply to me? So this was like the number one subject. So what we've done, we put together designed webinar for you, and I really hope you enjoyed this. So stay with me. This is me in short. I've been there for more than 30 years now, and in cybersecurity for more than 20 years for my company, VISTA Infosec. And we are primarily there. I'm myself a PCI QSA, QPA, even an SSA, ISO 27000 lead auditor, and many other things. And my colleague, he is a star today, and he is Avinash. He is heading our operations in Europe, and he's based in Germany. He's leading all our projects in Europe, and he is himself an ISO 27001 lead auditor. He's done a accreditation even for ISO 42001, which is the standard for AI. He's himself a CISSP. He was a QSA, and now he's becoming a QSA again. He is also an AWS architect. So he's been there. Okay, he's a technocrat basically. He's not really. I wouldn't say that he's a sales guy. So nothing wrong with sales, but he'll not be talking very generic. So that's where I invited him for the webinar, so that you can hear a healthy exchange of views. So in a
Thank
one slide, if I can say about our company, uh, we have been there for like 22 years now, almost 22 years. In December will be 22, and we are there specialized in cybersecurity, information security, audit and advisory under one roof. And we are product and vendor neutral. So we don't sell any products, and we don't outsource any of the products that we've been taken from anyone. And we are there in US, we are there in UK, we are there in Europe, and UAE, we are there in India, and of course in Singapore. So where we work across the board, and of course we also our team is also well equipped to even do the technical assessment as per AI top 20, top 10 for AI products. So we even do the AI LLM technical testing. So that's something new that is coming up. But today's webinar is only on a software platform. So this is the agenda that we have put down, and this is what we have sent across to you. And what we have done, guys, is that we have collated 15 top questions, 15 most frequently asked questions that we receive from our clients in Europe and other places. And at this time, we are one of the foremost known companies for AI, and that's how we are building up. So we have put down the 15 questions, and I've got my colleague Avinash. So Avinash, welcome. How are you doing, brother?
Thank you, Narendra, for to invite me for the webinar. I'm doing great. So just to add about the VISTA Infosec, as I mentioned, as you just mentioned about service. So we are not the typical consulting firm like PwC, Deloitte, or KPMG. Our approach, or our differentiator is performing the gap assessment, risk assessment, and during the complete life cycle of the remediation roadmap, we perform the handholding of our customers. So till the end of to meet their compliance level. So
Yes. So
that's all I
yes.
wanted to add, Narendra.
Thanks for that, brother. And okay, that's a good point that he picked up. The reason being that puts us in a very unique position to even answer you in a very practical manner, and that's what our company is known for. To not just give you a theoretical heat maps and 100-mile high recommendations, which is of actually no use to anyone, can look good in a board presentation, but ground realities are totally missing. So that's not how we work. So our answers, as you will see today, would be more on a very, very practical way, which will help you to actually get something done and move to the next level. And again, before we jump right in, your questions even now is most welcome. What you can do is go to the chat section and put down your questions. And sometimes there are just too many questions. So we might not answer all of them because it's simply not possible. But we will try and cover as much as possible in real time. And in case something is missed out, I promise you that either me or Avinash will get back to you on this. So jumping right into the first question, Avinash. This is like my number one that I keep hearing, that we use AI in our platform. So does the EU AI Act automatically apply to us? Or sometimes they even say whether ISO 42001 applies to us, what applies, and we use AI. What do you have to say? So what you've done, guys, is that you put down the answer in summary over here so that you can reflect on it as you hear it, but don't read it while we are speaking. You can always go through it later on because you will get a copy of this recording. So Avinash, over to you. What do you think the
Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah. So Naren, as we have already summarized the answer, I'll just quickly elaborate it a little bit more. So EU AI Act is a risk-based and a role-based framework. It's not a just a AI-based framework we need to implement. So here, two questions decide your exposure. What role do you play? Means are you a provider? Are you a deployer of AI systems? Are you importing the AI tools and technologies from third countries outside the European Union, or you are a distributor?
Hmm.
And what risk and class does the system fall into? So in EU AI Act framework, so there are four classes. One is prohibited; you cannot use it. Second is a high risk system, then limited risk or the transparency you have to demonstrate to your clients, and then fourth is minimal for your in-house use. So that's where that's basically identify whether the EU AI Act is applicable to your environment or not. So not automatically, as you have already mentioned, and most of the B2B software features like search ranking, summarization, classification land in the minimal limited risk tier, and these are more related to the software development companies where the duties are modest. The AI literacy for the staffs are defined as per the articles, and the transparency has been introduced to their end consumers. So yeah, the answer is it does not apply automatically, but it matters on several factors and elements.
Okay, so Avinash, we have our first question for the day. This is actually a point that I'd covered earlier, but we need to repeat it. Is that is this presentation for this particular webinar based on the EUAI Act or is it generic? So yeah, I should have clarified this earlier. So the webinar is basically this webinar is more on AI for software systems. But what happens is we need to speak with a standard in front of us as some sort of benchmark. Otherwise, I'm talking in a very subjective way. I'm talking what I think is the right thing to say, or I need a reference point on what basis I'm saying this, whether it is right or wrong. Like, for example, if I come back to what our dear Avinash said, he spoke about the four categories, whether it is prohibited, high risk, medium, and limited, and all those things. So, who did that categorization? Where does it come? So, I can, if I make these categories on my own, it will be a mess. So, we refer to a standard like the EU AI Act, as Avinash said very well, is the world's number one and most comprehensive AI law. It is extremely well written, runs into hundreds of pages, and it is. I commend the European Union for coming up with standards like GDPR, which is like the mothership for privacy. Everybody refers to GDPR, and now there is a EU AI Act, and it is beautifully written. Well, you might say I could refer to ISO 42001 also, but in my humble opinion, I find the EU AI Act much well written and much more precise and comprehensive than ISO 42001. As a starting model, if you're looking at some AIMS, as it is called, artificial intelligence management system, if you're trying to set up for your company, and actually it goes very well with the EU AI Act, the ISO 42001. And you can do both at the same time, but hands-on ground realities advice and what do's and don'ts, you get it from the UEI Act only, not from an ISO standard. So that would be my 2 cents. So I really hope that answers. So we are referring to the
But
UEI Act for as a reference for answering our queries on software platforms, EU AI risk management. Yes, Avinash, you were saying.
That's just to add here, as you have very well mentioned, the EU AI Act is a beauty, written by the European Union. Definitely, AI systems can be, used for the enhancement of the environment, or for the better use, but definitely there are some categories, like or one category which is defined completely unacceptable risk, where you cannot use the AI features for any of your in-house activities, like criminal profiling or
Mhm.
a real-time biometrics. So that's basically the beauty of the EU AI Act definition.
Yes, so yeah, this is something actually you learn so much more. I really encourage everyone to just download and read there for free. There is a summary also there, and there is a the articles are also specified. It's a few hundred pages, and it is extremely well written. And what Avinash spoke about is the RBI, which doesn't mean the Reserve Bank of India. It means the real-time biometrics intelligence for identification of people on the fly for whichever parameters that is being configured. Most of the time used by defense or intelligence agencies or law enforcement agencies. So that's how it is. So moving on, question number two. What's the first thing a software company should do for AI compliance? So this is again, I'm asked, do I need to do AI? We are only using it for searching. We are only doing as a part of it. So should we even get into it? But my boss is saying we have to do AI compliance. So how does it map into this? So this is again a very well asked question that we get quite often. So what would be your 2 cents on that, brother?
Okay, so definitely we are talking about the AI. We will cover the AI topic, but
Yeah,
it applies to pretty much every compliance, be it your ISO, GDPR, NIST2, DORA, CRA, or any type
yeah,
of compliance. You should start with building your AI inventory, be it your AI inventory systems. Then you have to classify, and it's ambiguities currently, how to start with the EU AI compliance. So start with build an AI inventory, where to use, what system will be a part of the scope, then classify based on the different criticality as per your business needs, your business functions, because you cannot govern what you have not listed. And for
yes.
every AI use in the product or internal tooling or in embedded, third party models, record, for example, record purposes, models, data, who is affected, what will be the output in customer facing, what is the legal requirements. So these basically the classification, the risk classification you have to define. So two things usually, surface immediately. First is, you will see in your environment as well, that shadow IT, nobody approved. And second is features that were assumed to be low risk, but touch the employment, credit card information, education, biometric use cases. So everything, downstream, from starting from the risk assessment, documentation, then it comes to the transparency, then it comes to the, the intelligence and the score around to the your register. So building from, AI inventory to classification to risk assessment, and then follow the AI compliance requirements. So that's how it has to be.
That's a well-defined answer. I have really nothing to add. You covered all the bases. So okay, I'm just reading out another question. Okay, so some good person has asked as to what should be covered in the AI asset inventory. So basically, when you're talking about an AI asset inventory, this becomes in itself a lot of ambiguities attached to that. So here you'll be listing out all the AI-based features that you're using. We have written down in the second point over here. So all the AI-based features that you are making available in your particular software. So whether it is agentic AI, generative AI, what you're using, for what purpose you're using, and then record the model or the provider. So many a time you can have your own local AI stack and train it yourself, or you can use an API, say from Claude or ChatGPT. Or there are so many models are there. So what model you're using, how you're using that, and the purpose, what data you're using for training purpose or for actual delivery purpose, the integration with other systems, because if you have a background AI systems, it integrates with something. So what is it integrating with? And the next is a decision impact. In case of whatever decision or whatever data is there from this AI system, how will it impact the end user? And the last 2 points is something that everybody misses out across the board. And the number one thing in that is human oversight. You cannot just have a blindly running system with nobody checking what is going on and what is being dished out. Because two things, if I can say, in my interaction with using and auditing AI systems. Number one, artificial intelligence cannot beat natural stupidity. So even if the AI has done its job, but if the prompt is improper or the data input is improper, then the output would be garbage. And but somebody needs to check that, because if the garbage that gets further processed as valid outcome, then then there will be an issue for you. So AI is basically as smart as the people who are using it, especially if you're talking about advanced models that we see nowadays, like the Claude, or even in ChatGPT, the advanced models that we get to see. So it is as smart as the prompts that is being written. The human guardrails, as it is called, the guardrails needs to be in place, and what guardrails you have for that. And then, of course, a responsible owner for each line item, which is as a part, as Avinash said it very well, same thing like in a asset inventory, in an ISO or a PCI or a NIST or a DORA or a CRA, you need to have a responsible owner for each of these functions and the model as a whole. So hope that makes sense. Yes, Avinash, shall we, anything to
Yeah,
add? We'll move
yeah,
on.
just to add one thing, to keep it more simple and understandable for our audience,
Yeah.
the minimal the AI inventory key field should be start with the purpose. What purpose or what problems we are planning to solve with the AI capabilities or with the AI tools we are importing or the AI tool we are developing. Then the second is what kind of a risk we are associating with that or we are
Hmm.
introducing. So risk level, does it affect the people lives, money, safety, or anything else? Then the third is data input. What personal or sensitive data we are, planning to consume with this AI capabilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whether, then it's GDPR regulations comes in. It depends. Then who is accountable for if something goes wrong with the AI capabilities? Whether then fifth is vendor or internal, whether we are building the in-house AI capabilities or whether we are consuming the third parties. Then for last, minimum should be the compliance flag. What compliance would be applicable if we are, capturing the AI inventories, data, systems, people, process,
What touch
technology,
points?
etc.
Yes, yes.
What is there? So these minimum, 6 pointers should be the key field in AI inventory.
That's very well said, Avinash. Actually, from the way you articulated, I think we should have another webinar on just how to do risk management for IT systems, or AI-based IT systems, or even maybe a short video on asset inventory, AI asset inventory. Maybe we can think about that.
Yeah.
All right, so stay tuned for that. In case you've not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to it. We are the most watched compliance channel on the internet. So make use of it. Everything is free. We don't have a many membership programs where you have to pay some money. Everything is free, and we have put down all our experiences in that. We have even technical assessment videos, not just compliance, and you name it, whether it is PCI DSS or SOC 1 or SOC 2 or whatever be the case. We are there with you on this, and we do the we have provided the information on that. So moving ahead on the third question, how do we determine? Okay, this is a good thing, because as per the terminologies that we use, Avinash, how do we determine whether our AI system is high risk under the EU AI Act? Wow. How would we summarize that answer? So
So
yes,
maybe let me start, then you can definitely add in,
yes, yes,
Naren.
yes.
So based on my experience and reading about the EU AI Act, and of course, closely working with some of the organizations on implementing the EU AI Act. or the framework? I think, start work through three tests in order. First is one is the AI a safety component of a product already subjected to the EU product legislation? Because that's another, legislation every organization has to meet in terms of device, in terms of, second is, does the intended purpose fall into a listed use cases? For example, biometrics, critical infrastructure, education systems, employment, recruiting, etc. And then, the insurance pricing, for example. Third is, even the inside a system is not a high risk if it performs a narrow procedural task, improve, or it should be improve a prior human activities. It should be able to detect pattern without replacing human assessment. So these are the 3 points I believe, to determine whether our AI system is a high risk under the EU AI Act or not. So these are the key three takeaways from my side.
Wow, that's well said. And believe me, guys, this is quality consulting insight that you're getting from Avinash that typically you would have paid a few hundred, if not a few $1,000 to uh, a consulting or an audit company to get this insight. So I hope you're making your notes on that. So just to clarify one more point over here, there is this difference between prohibited AI and high risk AI. So that is something that you need to be very clear upon. So he has mentioned it very well when it's used for employment, education, and what data is being processed. And of course, the narrow processing that is being done. That is again not a word terminology that Avinash made up. That is a terminology from the act in itself. So we keep on referring to it because it's very well written. And instead of me or Avinash talking from our mind and making things up, we are referring to the AI Act, which will help secure your AI systems, AI software systems, I should say. So that is there. So make sure that you're not working on anything that is prohibited risk AI. That is something that you can go through the standard. So it speaks about the RBI part, the remote biometrics intelligence, those type of areas, or facial recognition, or skimming of the data, or deep fakes, and all those things. That is really not allowed unless without a in some cases an order from a judge, like a approval from a judge or the law agencies to actually start using. And of course there are exceptions in that, but let me not elaborate much on that. So there is a difference between prohibited and high risk. So high risk you can still do with some guardrails in place. Prohibitive risk, without approval from the law enforcement agencies, you cannot be doing it, if not doing it at all.
Yeah, prohibited, you cannot,
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
unacceptable risk. You
Yes.
cannot use. Yeah.
So you need to be clear on whether your platform falls under high risk or prohibited risk. And it's not that sharply clear on either. So work with some good company or some external consultants or whatever to identify whether you're not by mistake, at least a part of your processing is moved into prohibited, then you'll be in a lot of trouble. And you might say you're sitting in the US, or you're sitting in India or Singapore or Southeast Asian countries or something. I can guarantee you this, that all the future AI Act that will be written would have a lot of bearing, or sorry, this EU AI Act would have a lot of bearing on future AI acts enacted by companies. It's extremely well written. It's a few hundred pages long, and it's literally perfection. That doesn't mean that it cannot be improved, but I mean it's very well written. So the next thing, so we use question number 4. If we use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any other AI model via API, so you might say, isn't compliance a provider's job? So that's what happens. Many a time we are a PCI DSS certifying body, and many a time the client says to us, "Oh, we are hosted in a Amazon environment, and Amazon is a PCI DSS certified. Do we need to still get PCI certification?" So the answer is an absolute no. And yes, Avinash, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right, Vince. So the answer is definitely no, because the obligations are split, not transferred completely. So the
Yes.
model providers like OpenAI or Google or Anthropic, whatever the the AI solution you use carries the general purposes of AI duties, and that have, of course, I've applied since I think mid of 2025 sometimes, with all the technical documentations, copyrights, policies, data summaries, systematic risk models, etc. You can carry everything about the system you build on top, intended the purpose, risk classification, data governance, but you cannot, completely say it's not,
Not required.
if we are using, it's not my duty to meet the compliance.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as I said, the obligations are split, completely not transferred.
Yes, and if I can make it in a different tone, it is like this. These ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any other AI APIs that you might be using is more like a tool that you're using. How you're using the tool, what you're giving to the tool, what is not given to the tool, what is retained, why it is given, how it is processed, how the output is managed, all those things is still yours. Coming back to the same thing, where client says to us that, okay, we are hosted on Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure, and they are PCI DSS certified. Why do we need PCI certification? Because they are just giving you the tool for keeping your servers or managing your data effectively. But managing it is still your responsibility. What data you put over there, for how you are getting the data, how you're processing it, how you're processing the output, where you'll be using the output, all is still yours. So it's a split responsibility. That's a beautiful term that Avinash has used. So make a responsibility table, like a matrix as to who will do what. So like in a SaaS model, there is a shared tenancy based on what agreement you signed with the cloud provider. So in the same way, there's a shared agreement that you need to have in place. I don't mean that you go sign a document with Claude or Google. I mean have some reference documents where it is very clear who is going to do what. All right,
That's right.
moving
So
on.
practically, you
Yeah,
have to have, all your providers' documentation, acceptable use of terms of your data and technology. Everything should be part of your contract. And as you mentioned, you should be, the risk owner of
yes,
such
yes, yes.
use cases.
So question number 5, what's the difference? Yeah, this you get again so many times. What's the difference between the EU AI Act ISO 42001 and the NIST AIRMF? So um, I think it's fairly straightforward. The EU Act is a regulation. ISO 42001 is an ISO standard. It's like a management standard, and it complements in my thought to the EU AI Act, but doesn't replace it. And the NIST is more of a RMF, or risk management framework. That's in short. What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, I think you have already explained. So, EU AI Act is basically a law you have to
Yeah,
follow. You cannot avoid.
yeah.
So
There are
you
penalties, and they will shut you down types. Yeah,
yeah, penalties are so huge. I would say up to 35 million, 7% of your global turnover, which every organization that's why have to meet the requirement of the law. ISO 42001 is a certifiable management systems which can ensure the compliance. The implementation of ISO can ensure the compliance of EU AI Act. It's not definitely a law you have to meet, but yes, it can ensure. So it's a management system you have to implement. The NIST AI RMF is a basically, I would say, a voluntary practical framework to perform the risk management and
yeah.
implement the controls. So that's basically, I believe everybody is aware the NIST AI risk management framework. Or the origin was, of course, the US origin, and it's not a you will not get any certification against NIST AIRMS.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
just a
a best
framework.
practices.
It's a best practice. And again, it's best. It is very well written, much like the NIST CISF, the cybersecurity framework by NIST. So if I draw a mental framework, it's EU AI Act at the top, and you can implement, have a, like an ISO 42001 to form the, like the management standard, the AIMS, artificial intelligence management system, which plugs into the EU AI Act. And if you really want to do a comprehensive risk management of your AI systems, because this RMF, I've seen the risk management framework of NIST, that that risk management framework is compatible with both ISO 42001 and the EU AI Act. As Avinash said earlier, you need to do an asset inventory and then the risk management on that. For that purpose, you can use the NIST AI RMF also, which is an extremely well written procedure. So that is there. So now the next thing, this has been there since the time of privacy. So if you're already ISO 27001 certified, why do we need AI specific governance? So this is again like one of the frequently asked questions. So what do you think, my friend?
Okay, yeah. As everybody may be, aware, ISO 27001 governs information, not the model behavior in
Yeah.
AI functionality. So, and as a ISMS, it ensure the confidentiality, it ensure the integrity and availability of the systems. It has nothing to say about the bias, a training
Hmm.
set, accuracy, degradation as a data drift, explanatory of an output, provenance and licensing of the training data, hallucination, or how much
Yes. Yes.
autonomy an agent should have. So, because these are the functions of an AI agent or AI
Yes.
tools and technologies, and those are the risks that actually bite in AI, as I mentioned. So that's why you have to have a separate AI governance
Yeah.
framework implemented based on different framework. ISO 42000 is one is definitely the most appropriate one. But if you're already ISO 27001, doesn't mean you have the AI governance in place.
Yes, that is true. It is more like complementing ISO 42001, as Avinash said it very well. For example, if you're doing ISO 27701, which is PIMS, Privacy Information Management System, so you cannot do that way without ISO 27001. So same way, if you're looking at ISO 42001, we strongly advise you to do ISO 27001 to have the underlying security processes also in place, because this is AI governance. AI governance complements security governance. So moving on, what does embedding AI, yeah, embedding AI governance into the SDLC actually mean? This is Avinash, what you've seen, I'm sure that even you have, is that for many companies now they have to upgrade their SDLC process to put AI governance also into the SDLC process. And with SDLC, some companies even have an SSDLC, Secure Software Development Life Cycle. So in that case, when you say embed AI governance into that, what are we talking about?
Yeah, no, definitely. And wherever, all the development activities are happening, definitely the AI governance is becoming more crucial and vital here. What does it mean? It's basically, governance gates inside the delivery process. You already have not a parallel review board. So
Yeah.
concretely, I would say first is intake. Any new AI features or model uh, gets logged and classified before build into the software development.
Yeah.
Then you design the AI impact assessment. You design, you assess where the data protections or the personal data is involved, or the fundamental rights assessments are applicable, plus a decision on any data provenance, because AI is completely working on the data we are providing it to the robots or the chatbots. Then the build, basically, your data set documentation, your evaluation set should be defined before training your AI chatbot or providing any model to the environment. Then the governance is basically asking to perform the pre-release evaluation threshold that can actually block a release during the software development life cycles, and bias across the relevant cohorts, robustness, or prompt injections, and then go for the production deployment, starting from the the logging, drifting, quality
Yeah.
monitoring, feedback, etc. So that's the whole the change management systems you have to embed in your SDLC governance.
Very well articulated. At this time, I'd like to bring my audience's attention to one point that Avinash said with AI impact assessment, as that's a good point that he brought up. And this is something like you have the DPIA, data privacy impact assessment in privacy. It's not the same thing with the same thing, but the overall objective remains the same. So AIIA, that's what instead of DPIA, here now it becomes AIIA, Artificial Intelligence Impact Assessment. So this is where will also help you identify whether you are falling in the category of your data or your processes are falling in anywhere in the category of prohibited AI or high risk AI. That's one of the questions that we had covered. So if you are doing the AIIA, Artificial Intelligence Impact Assessment, then this will also help you identify what category your data is falling in, and then you have the justification also in case somebody cross questions you or there is a regulatory call that comes or there is an issue where the client's placed, then you have the justification in place as to why did you classify your data as say medium risk instead of high risk, or limited risk instead of medium risk or high risk. So all those things is something that will happen with your AIIA. That's something that is really needs to be done. And yes, as he rightly said, it is in touch, or you need to update your uh, SDLC, not to add more phases, but I can say like adding AI specific terminologies in that. For example, when you're testing, as Avinash explained, to test for the hallucination risk, which is there, or any sort of ethical and moral boundaries that you might be putting into the software, or somebody tricking the AI by writing a very elaborate prompt for sensitive data injection or sensitive data withdrawals from the system. So those areas is something that we need to be aware of. So moving on, question number 8, what AI documentation should a software company maintain? Yes. So the list of documentation that is there. Yes, Avinash.
Okay, so yeah, again, it's big ambiguities within the software companies, or not only the software, but pretty much across different industries as well. But definitely, software companies are building more AI functionality, using more chatbots in their products. It's more, becoming critical and vital for them to
Yes.
maintain the documentation. I would say, yeah, you can create, 100 different documents, but at least start with 9 things you should have, to meet the EU AI Act framework. Starting from your, asset inventory or AI system inventory, what is the current, who is owning what. Second is, the classification of the systems, what is the role of your environment, including any, I would say, articles defined. Third is, defining your risk profiling, which risk profiling, whether, you are using high risk systems, or you are using some low GPAI systems in the environment. So you have to define. Then technical documentation, you have to have, all detailed technical documentation, starting from architectures, data training, methodologies, metrics, because without documentation, you will lose the strategy of deploying the AI solutions capabilities. Then it's the most critical part of it, of course, data governance records, where
Yes.
you are, keeping your sources, licenses,
Mm.
and any, representations, any checks. Fifth, I would say the evaluation and the test reports with the results, and not just the plan. So you should perform some test, and this test should come up with some evaluation how your AI system is integrated. Instructions for use, and then definitely for the human oversight design, handed to the deployers. The seventh or logs automatically, all the logs should be captured and recorded for the traceability, as per the article 12 and 19, if I'm not wrong, to meet the
Oh, the
compliance
UAI, yeah.
level. Yeah, EUAI. The post market monitoring, you should have your
Yes, yes.
monitoring plan plus the incident or the serious incident register in place as per the EU AI Act. And last but not least, as I mentioned, you can have hundred of documentation, but last you should have a vendor file. You should have all your model documentation, acceptable use, who is providing you what, all your
Yes.
DPAs, sub-processor. So all these records, the documentation should be in place for definitely the software company, but I would say pretty much every organization.
Wow, very well said. And as my dear audience must have observed by now, that it is not your typical change management, incident management, documents, password management. Those, of course, are needed. And whatever Avinash mentioned was over and above that for the AI governance part. So do not just look at it that we only need to have the AI documents and not the InfoSec documents. You both are needed. So please be very so the foundational documents for information security have to be there. So now one of the things like the two of the things that I spoke about earlier was human oversight. So I gave a very long 2 cents on that. So the point is the next question, question number 9, is what is human oversight? Does putting a human in the process solve the risk? So what is the purpose actually? Because many companies I've seen asking also that man, if we put a human over here, what I completed in 10 minutes, the person will take like 10 days to get back to me. And even in that, I don't know whether he'll be able to do what I told him to do. So how does having a human in the equation solve the problem?
So the in the first glance, I would say no. Then a human in the loop is not the same as human oversight,
Yes,
and
yes,
and the regulators know the difference. And if you look at the EU AI Act Article 14, it
mm,
basically expects oversight that is more meaningful. For example, the person must understand the system capabilities and the
yeah,
limitation, and should be able to interpret the output. The definitely the alerts can remain autonomous or in an automation systems with the buyer, and should be able to disregard or override the results.
yes, yes,
So maybe a good example, or I would say a reviewer for who approves 400 recommendation an hour with no realistic ability to disagree, add
yes,
signatures, but not as a safeguard. So designing it properly means the competency, of course, the training for the reviewers, and authority to overrule without having maybe in the job risk or career risk or having context on top of it, time, budget, escalation path, monitoring is part of. So an override rate is completely zero usually.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what, in essence, my friend is trying to say is you cannot hire interns and say they are our human oversight. I
That's right.
I don't want to get into this, but we have seen a couple of companies where the whole point of a human oversight is somebody to sit and check what reports are being developed, check the accuracy and the completeness of the presentations or the log analysis, those things. You cannot hire interns for this because if you're talking about somebody to validate the output of an AI, that person needs to have a very strong background in what the subject is all about and then be able to vet whether the work done and the data outcome is appropriate. So moving ahead to the next one, How should we evaluate third-party AI vendors before integrating it? So now everybody, as we discussed earlier, is coming up with AI systems, AI API systems, and so many people trying to become that ISO, as it is called in PCI, not the ISO body. I mean, independent service organization. So you have a very big application already in place. Now I have built an engine that can plug into this and do 10 more things. So it becomes very critical for companies now to have to evaluate these third-party AI vendors before they get integrated into their systems. So what would you say on that, brother?
Yeah, as you already very well said about this. So I would say treat it as a supplier due diligence plus a AI specific questions before onboarding or integrating
Mm.
any AI capabilities, and get the answers in writing. Try to get
Yeah,
the answers in writing. Ask about the model province or the general purposes of AI documentation
yeah,
should be available to you, so that you can
the do's and
understand
don'ts.
the
Yeah,
background. What are the training sources, what are the vendors, I would say the IP address, intellectual properties, copyright positions, including indemnities, or
mm,
whether whether your prompts or outputs a customer data for use for the training. So that's how you can evaluate the background of AI vendors before integrating to your systems. And definitely not only limited to your own specific, but having check the compliance of GDPR or any security postures like
yeah.
ISO 27001 or SOC 2, or maybe the whether it's very new. I think almost very rare companies are ISO 42001 certified, but if they
They're just
are, you're
starting. Yeah,
definitely
very, 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 very rare. Very few companies are. They just started the process. So yes, so,
yeah.
everybody's still trying to understand the impact of AI in their organization. So what we should do, what we should not do, that huge ambiguity is there. So I would also suggest, as my friend explained, to have maybe a introduction to AI in the organization, how things work, how the words are interpreted, and how people should be managing this AI management system that you are planning for the software platform. All right,
Yeah,
now, so
just to
yeah,
add one more line, Naren, here, because the more governing structure or governing principle you will apply, before integrating any AI based vendor or integrating AI tools technologies, you should be meet or secure your own obligations
yes.
on what vendor is giving you
Hmm.
uh, as part of the contractual documentation, not just the tool or technologies to use in the environment.
True,
Because
true,
at the end
true.
of the day, you would be liable for any penalties or
Yeah,
any
this is a good point.
obligation.
This is a good point. You can't just say I was using a ChatGPT API and that made a mess. The
Yeah,
accountability will remain with you. So don't. This is like a. I've seen this for the last 20 years, more rather. Of course, you might
yeah,
say there was AI 25 years back. What I'm trying to say is that many people use a third-party vendor and think that the responsibility is gone. It doesn't work that way. You just outsource the responsibility and not the accountability. So how you evaluate, because it's finally your choice. So for example, if I'm your client, I'm using a software platform, I don't give 2 cents about who your partners are and how you're working with them. I'm demanding that your system should be as good, your partner system should be as good as your systems and my systems. And if not, it will be your responsibility because you outsource to a third party to save time and money. So you are gaining benefit from that, but passing on the risk to me, which is not acceptable. The
that's true.
evaluation is extremely important on how it is to that to be done, and that's where we have put down the points as Avinash elaborated also. So how often, Avinash, should be done?
Ah, how often? Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely on a trigger basis, I would say with an annual floor or once a year, review alone should be done, but definitely it's not defensible for the systems or the changes are happening because of the AI. Uh, so at this point, I would say the more we will do or perform the risk assessment of each and every use case, integration tools and technologies, even it's less. So before assess before first release, and or maybe whenever something material changes or a new model or new version comes in, or
Yeah,
maybe integrate with the new
new use
data
case.
source,
Yeah,
new use cases, new geography changes, new tools access or vendor integration, the risk assessment should be performed, because every new changes introducing new risk or new threat landscape. So
right.
yeah, this is what my take so far for the EU AI Act. Even if
So
I'm
Harsh,
reviewing or
yeah,
performing on a daily basis my security checks or risk assessment checks, it's still less.
yes. And what happens is that this is much more acute issue than your ISO RA, which is done more as a formality for many companies. This is not the same. This is really not the same because your AI systems would be growing dynamically. So
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
case, it could be some new data source, it could be some new data population, or you're reaching a new geography, or even generating some new output. So all that should trigger a RA to be done again, risk assessment of a platform to be done again. If not
So
comprehensively, at least in the differential manner. Yes.
that's right. So I'll just give you one example here. It's a very huge car manufacturing company here in Germany, and I think across the globe, everybody knows their name. I don't want to take the name, but they are very, I would say, they are very mature in adopting AI tools and technologies, AI capabilities in their manufacturing processes, and of course the car design as well. You won't believe they perform the daily shadow IT scanning to identify the AI tools or subscription use in
Wow.
their environment, because it's a huge production environment and people are using their own subscription for their personal
Yeah.
use on their laptop. What is happening is, I'll give you the example. I while discussing with the CTO, he told me the accounts people,
Uh,
they uploaded the accounts Excel sheet on their personal ChatGPT subscription, and they were asking to AI to perform some analysis, and it
wow.
was a company data. So just imagine,
Wow.
because definitely the accounts people are not that literate about the tools and technologies or the risk, I would say, but unknowingly they expose the company data to the internet, and you can imagine how these data can be used. So that's why
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
performing the risk assessment even every day is, I see is a very a minimal.
The next one, 12th question. What changes when we move from generative AI to agentic AI? For many people, this is just like words. They are not able to define generative AI to agentic AI. So, as I said earlier, also, it will help each and every company to have at least an orientation session on what is AI, how it works, and how it impacts your company. So, like 25 years back, when ISO started becoming more prevalent, ISO 27001, and that's where we were also there. And that is one of the things that I used to tell every one of our clients, that is, please have an awareness session in your company as to what is information security, because that time even the awareness was not there. So what do you mean information security? Is it just an IT issue, or whose issue is it? So again, I'm suggesting, requesting everyone of our viewers to please think about doing an internal training. I'm not saying call us for that. Of course, we can also do that, but I would suggest that you could even make a nominate somebody, make a PowerPoint, and run them through it, or hire an external agency. Or there are so many trainings available online. Just do it, but acquaint your team as to what is AI. Yes, over to you, brother.
Yeah, no, I think you have already explained about, the lack of understanding or lack of information about the generative AI
Yeah,
or agentic AI, or I would say the overall AI tools and technologies, capabilities or functionality.
yeah, yeah,
In every organization, almost 90% of the people using the AI tools just for the, ease their jobs, or just to, do some plannings, etc., just to minimize their
yeah, yeah,
efforts. The risk moves, from what the system say to what system does, from generative AI to agentic AI. Definitely, this needs a proper introduction session within an organization. So,
yeah.
generative AI produces an output that a human then acts on. An agent
Mm,
basically plans, calls, tools, writes systems, spend money, etc. So the three consequences, what I quickly see is, first is authorization becomes the control surface. The agents need scoped or least
yeah.
privileged credentials. When we cater such moves, or maybe allow list of tools and actions, or spend of the volumes
Yes, yes.
should be limited. Second is basically blast radius surface
Mm,
accuracy. It's more than a 2% error rate, not more, but less than 2% error rate is tolerable as per the framework, but not before over 2% should be acceptable in automated systems. The third is, I would say, it's a new attack path which indirect perform the prompt injections through retrieved content, different tool chaining of different tools, or
yes,
maybe
yes.
compounding an error across multiple multi-step plans. So that's where it's not a simple move, or it's not a simple change. Moving from generative AI to agentic AI, it needs a proper, planning. It needs proper awareness, documentation, what needs
Mm.
to be done, assessments, etc. Yeah.
So moving on to a 13th question, how do you audit an AI agent that can make a decision autonomously? Autonomously means on its own without any intervention. So how do you audit? So this is a very lengthy question that I don't think that we can cover just like in 2 minutes, and we are already beyond time. But we'll just touch on it and go, and move ahead. But as it's written, it is like, don't just look at a model. We have to look at the ecosystem as a whole, all the people, process, technologies involved with the AI agent. So don't just look at it that, okay, just my one platform is taking the data, analyzing, doing the research and giving it back to me. So I only look at that. It doesn't work that way. So as I said, the overall ecosystem needs to be evaluated, not just one particular AI agent. It's very important that, as I said, it's written that the goal, the input, the reasoning process, the tools, the permissions, the action taken, the output, the logs developed, and then finally the human escalation. So all those things has to be there. Otherwise, it gets, you might have seen some AI systems online where it's a chatbot. It gets so irritating because I say one and it hears some different language only, I guess, because then it doesn't have any idea what is going on. There is no, even a venue for a human escalation. That is again considered as a violation. The human escalation or the human oversight if it is missing. Yes, Avinash. Sorry, I just jumped
So
right in. Yeah,
no, that's
yeah.
perfectly fine. I will not definitely add much into here in this, because it's a a long debatable or long answer how we should audit an AI agent. Definitely, all the processes, documentation should be in place. Maybe just to add, a single output tells you nothing
Yeah,
whether the process was controlled or so audit. What I think, or how I see, is the auditability of an AI agent has to be designed well before the deployment.
yeah, yeah.
What we are deploying, whether it can be auditable at a later stage or not. And as you very well mentioned, if a decision cannot be reconstructed after the fact, then agent is definitely not auditable and should not be an autonomous. Yeah,
All right.
that's from
So
my side.
moving ahead to our next question, question number 14. What's the biggest AI compliance mistake? Oh, this is, there are so many of them, and we try to cover a few of that in our questions. What's the biggest AI compliance mistake software companies are making right now? So, if yes, Avinash, over to you because
Maybe,
you've been dealing
yeah,
a lot with
maybe, yeah, I'll just
European
quickly
customers,
touch.
so you have a
Exactly.
better understanding and view. Yes, over to you.
No, definitely. So as I am seeing, lots of industries or lots of companies, what they are doing practically, or the mistakes they are carrying, and definitely I am also involved with some of organizations in developing their AI strategy. So what I see is, AI compliance, they are treating it as a documentation exercise owned by legal, and
Yeah.
started very late, I would say.
And
It's
by
definitely
IT,
there.
yeah, but then
Yeah,
shoved on to legal, yes.
exactly. And the second mistake is, they started very late, and now they do not know from where to start and how to start, because AI is very much already integrated in their ecosystems, in their environment. So, and they don't have inventory. They don't know what is their shadow AIs, how their different business unit functions are using and supporting the capabilities, like sales, supports,
Yeah,
etc. HR is using what tools and technologies. And the big another big mistake is, or I would say definitely, it will come to know that the timelines are coming very closer.
yeah.
So the transparency obligations, as per the Article 50, should be disclosed and completed by 2nd of August 2026, like another 5 days
Yeah,
for now.
yes. We have a
So
countdown on our website. Yes.
exactly. So if you have you are a software-based software company, you are developing the software using AI capabilities, chatbots, etc. You have to have, demonstrate your transparency obligations. Otherwise, you will be penalized if something goes wrong, or you will be audited by the regulatory bodies.
Yes, that is there, and that will also put your clients at a huge risk. If you're developing a software for your clients, it will put your clients at a huge risk because they are trusting you and they are buying the product from you, assuming that things are in place. You cannot just say this is our AI policy and hand them a PDF. We have seen this happen so many times, and that's it. It's like a 45 page PDF document, and everything is documented in it. Most probably, that AI PDF document is also developed by an AI system. So and that is what companies think is the AI management system all about, which it is not. You need to have documentation in place, but there are controls that needs to be implemented, followed, and evidence provided. So please don't take this lightly. This is at a much bigger and a much higher level than even your privacy GDPR, because I would say that now AI is building on top of privacy also. So you have an underlying ISO 27001 for European customers, then you have GDPR to take care of privacy, and then you have on top of that you have the the AI Act and various ISO 42001 standards that is governing how AI is processing privacy related data. So that is a very big complex situation that you need to start cracking on at the earliest. So coming to the end, the last question for the day, Avinash. if a company wants to become AI compliance ready, what should I do in the next 90 days? So like maybe we can have a short webinar on that. That's what I was discussing with Avinash earlier. And but now we'll just summarize it in 1 minute or so because we are way over time. So over to you, brother. And believe me,
Okay.
guys, we'll do a like a short webinar on this also. Become AI compliant in 90 days and so. Yes, go on.
Yeah. So maybe to start with, if you do not have the capability or skills or the right people in the environment, engage with some expert with the consulting organizations to start your AI journey. I would say in first 30 days, you should start developing AI inventory, defining the roles, accountabilities, and and defining the your AI governance. I think that should be your first month to go, or first 30 days, and definitely roll out some AI literacy around it. Then in next 30 to 60 days, run the impact assessment, risk, what are the highest exposure to the systems, what is your GDPR data retention guidelines as per the regulations, how you should meet the compliance requirement or article requirements about the transparencies, your disclosures, etc. So work on that. The last but not the least, of course, the uh, develop your evaluation reports as per the
Yes.
regulations. Data governance should be developed. Logging and monitoring, incident reporting, of course, is one of the the major area or domain which most of the organization oversight that. And yeah, means then definitely run a dry run. I would say do a dry run to reassess what has been implemented,
Yes.
and are
Yes.
you able to are you AI compliant or not as per the EU AI Act.
Again,
So
depending
that's
on the maturity of your company, 90 days is a very, very basic timeline. It can stretch to much more than that. So the sooner
of
you
course
start with a good partner, the better it is. So,
exactly.
all right. So that ends my 15 questions. So these are the 6 steps in AI governance that we have put down. You can make a note of it. I can't get into it. We've already spent a lot of time, and this is where even we, as a company, Vista Infosec, can help you in the discovery, in the assessment, in the governance, the implementation, the validation, and then even help you improve on an ongoing basis. We have been there for like 22 years now, and of course, AI is new, but we have been there at the cutting edge of AI cybersecurity standards. So follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. We are literally one of the most visited pages online. So be there with us and thank you and stay connected. I look forward to connecting with you, and you can, as my viewers, you can have like 40 minutes of an open-ended discussion on your AI journey and where what you need to do, what scope could be applying to you. This is free of cost. You can head on to our page, vistainfosec.com, fill up our contact us page, select the free consultation, and one of our team members, senior team members, if not Avinash, would be there to walk you through your journey. So looking forward to connecting with you. Thank you again, Avinash, for being you know helping me through this webinar. It has been a huge, what to say, plus point for me. So thank you again, and I'll see you in my next. Take care and have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Naren. Pleasure talking to you. Bye.